I've been playing around with DWM more and more here lately. And since there's been a new version of Debian released and a new version of DWM released since my last DWM video, I thought I might as well revisit it and kind of show, especially some of the newer users, how easy it is to install and patch and configure and, well, just use. Really, over the last several months, I've been kind of playing around with it in a few spare minutes that I get. And I've been playing around with different patches, and I've started figuring things out about myself. Now, I'm not sure about the rest of you, but this has been my journey, so to speak, of using the suckless window manager. When I first started using DWM, I experimented with common patches that were recommended by other Linuxy guys on YouTube. And I had a pretty good experience. But the more content around DWM that I watched, the more and more patches I added, and the more I bloated up my window manager with features that I thought I would use, but ultimately rarely ever did. And before long, it kind of just became this unholy patch monster that just didn't really even resemble the original window manager at all. It was not as light as I wanted it to be either. So I started over again and again and again. And I learned what I like. I learned what I don't like. So really, with all that said, what helped the most was just using DWM and figuring out what patches I used the most and which ones I could live without, and making a list. So I think the most amount of patches that I had at one point, I think I had 17 patches installed on DWM at one point. Don't judge me. Well, I've whittled that down to 7, and I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. I know I've already said with all that said, but with all that said, again, I'm going to be installing DWM on a minimal install of Debian testing. And I'm going to patch in the features that I want. I'm going to customize DWM to how I like it and kind of take you along for the ride and let you see that it's not as difficult as it sounds. Because I don't know C. A lot of people don't know C. But if you read and play around with it and make backups, you'll be fine. All right. So that's enough talking out of me. Let's go to the virtual machine. So here we are in the virtual machine. This is Debian testing installed with no desktop environment, no Xorg, no nothing, just a TTY console, and that's it. I gave it a root password, so there's not even sudo installed on the system. And here lately, I've been in kind of a do-as-y kind of mood. So I'm going to run do-as on this instead of sudo. You don't have to do that, but this is what I'm going to do. So to prove to you that we're running testing, we're running Linux kernel 5.18, which is a way newer kernel than what is in the stable repos now, or the bullseye repos, which is 5.10. Yada, yada, yada. So we're running a much newer kernel, and we're going to get started now. So let's clear the terminal. We're going to run an ls and see that everything is empty. So I'm going to change user to root, su, or switch user. I'm going to install. So let's do apt install git neovim, and let's install xorg xserver -xorg. Now let's install the dependencies for DWM. So let's do libx11-dev, libxft-dev, and libzenerama-dev. We're going to give that the YY flag and send it. We're going to clear the screen, and we're going to switch users back to Mike. Now let's run git clone https://gitlab.com/Linux dabbler/Debian install scripts. All right, now let's cd into Debian install scripts and run an ls. Actually, let's clear the terminal, then run an ls. You see, I have several scripts in here that will install various programs. And generally speaking, it's stuff that's not available in the Debian repos. But it also has some stuff here that just builds my stuff. So right now, the only script I want to run is ld-doas.sh. And maybe ld-st here in just a second. So I want to change users to root. And I want to run ld-doas.sh. And what that's going to do is pretty much just install doas and pull in my doas.conf file from my GitLab page and put it in the etc directory. It says it already exists, but let's just cat that out. /etc doas.conf. And we're good. You see, I have a lot of stuff that runs as no pass because I don't like typing in my password for everything. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's go back to Mike. So now let's run a few more of these scripts. Let's run fonts.sh, and we're going to put a semicolon after all these scripts. That way they'll just run in sequence. We're going to install the inconsolated nerd fonts. We're going to install ld-st or my build of st. Let's install lf. Let's install Librewolf and Neovim plug, which just installs Neovim and Vim plug and kind of gets everything set up for me. And now let's install the Ubuntu nerd fonts. And that should be it. And let's do as apt install Firefox -esr PCManFM, which is my favorite GUI file manager. Let's do my favorite terminal file manager. Let's see, VIFM Python 3-pip. And because I want to install one program with pip. That's it. Just one program. And I think that's about it. At least for now, anyway. We're going to let that go. All right, so now that that's done, let's download the tar.gz file for DWM. Do as apt install wget. All right, that's already installed. Let's clear the screen and wget https://dwm/dwm-6.3.tar.gz. And there it is. But I don't want that to be here. So let's move DWM to home/.local source. This directory got created when I ran the ld-st script. cd into local source. And you see that I have my lf tar.gz and my DWM 6.3.tar.gz. So what I want to do now is make a directory called tar files. Let's move lf to tar files. Sorry, I need to clear the screen. So it's tar-xzf DWM 6.3.tar.gz. We're running ls and we have a DWM 6.3 directory now. So let's move DWM 6.3.tar.gz to tar files. And I don't want my DWM directory to be named DWM 6.3. So let's move DWM-6.3 to DWM. All right, so if we cd into DWM, we've already got our dependencies installed, so let's just run make. And you see we have a DWM binary there. So let's ln-sf to create a symbolic link from home/.local source DWM to DWM. So that's just the full path to the binary. we're going to put that in our path. So home/.local bin. Now I want to have my version of SL status installed on this. We're in our source directory, and you see we have DWM ST and our tar files directory. So now let's get SL status. Git clone https://gitlab.com/linux-dabbler/SL status. Let's run make on that. And you see we have an SL status binary. So let's ln-sf to create another symbolic link. And we're going to do the full path to the SL status binary. So home/.local source SL status to home/.local bin. All right. So now if we go to local bin or home.local/bin and run an ls, you see we have DWM, LF, SL status, and ST. ST and LF were installed by running that script. This is Editing Mike, and this part of the video was taking entirely too long just to deploy my dot files. So I'm just going to speed this part of it up and get to the fun stuff. Well, now that we're rebooted and we know we're using ZSH, let's edit our xnetrc file. So nvim.xnetrc. And you see I've actually got Spectre WM and i3 listed in here. So let's just get rid of that. And I want to run SL status and DWM. So we're going to write and quit that. And let's run startx. Alt, Shift, and Enter to pull up a terminal. Let's make that bigger. And let's run xrender-s 1920 by 1080. All right, well, running that command fixed a lot of our resolution problems, and I'm going to get really tired of typing that. So I'm going to make this terminal bigger, or make the font size bigger, and we're going to cd into .config x11, and then we're going to nvim xprofile. Let's get rid of that. tumon.sh because that's on my main machine. And let's do xrender-s 1920 by 1080. So now whenever we log in and log out of DWM, it should show up a lot better and automatically have this resolution. But as you can tell, my window manager kind of looks weird. I have no wallpaper. I have no status bar, looks weird. So let's fix that. Alt Shift Enter to open terminal. So let's do and make the font size big so everybody can see. Do as apt install X wallpaper because I use X wallpaper to set my wallpaper. So let's run XWP, which is a script that I wrote for setting the wallpaper. And you see we have wallpaper. All right, so now let's patch DWM to get this fixed right. But before I do all that, I want to be able to restart DWM without logging out, logging back in, or that kind of deal, or without having to type startx so much. So let's clear this screen and let's nvim.xnetrc. Let's do a while loop. While do. And we're going to pkill SL status. Then we're going to run SL status and DWM. And we're going to go back here and type done. Now, when we run Alt Shift Q, that's going to log us out the first time. So we do that. And we're back. But if we do Alt Shift Q again, that just refreshes. We're good to go. Alt Shift Enter. Let's make everything bigger. And I forgot to install dmenu. So do as apt install suckless tools. Alt Shift C to close. Alt P to run dmenu. Firefox ESR. That's going to launch on tag 9. So let's go to tag 9 and move it to tag 1. That's going to get annoying too. So let's fix that. cd into .local source DWM nvim config.def.h. Come down here where it says Firefox. We're going to go into visual mode and highlight that. Change, go to 0. Get everything else lined up. Write and quit. rm config.h. Run make. Alt-Shift-Q. And we're still back, and we're still on tag 1, so we're good to go. Let's go to suckless.org. All right, we're going to click on DWM and go to patches. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to download Status 2D, because Status 2D is what's going to give us colors in our SL status. So we're going to do Status 2D 6.3. I'm not going to do the one with systray because I don't run a systray. So let's copy that. wget, and then middle mouse button. Yep. Now we have the Status 2D patch downloaded. And since I'm running ZSH, I'm running a pretty version of LS, which is called exa, and that's not installed. So do as apt install exa. See, because I like having icons. You see, we have DWM status 2D-6.3 diff. So let's patch that in right now. I always like to remove config.h, but this is not going to touch config.h, so I'm going to leave it alone. So let's patch -p1 DWM status 2D. And it just patched the DWM.c file. You can remove config.h after every patch if you want to. So let's just do that. rm config.h. Run make. There we are. Alt-Shift-Q. And you see now we have, it's looking much better, but our icons are still really, really small. So let's fix that. Let's nvim config.def.h. And tell you what, I'm going to move Firefox to tag 2 so everybody can see what we're doing here. See, we have monospace size 10. Now, there are patches for second fonts and this, that, and the other. I don't use that. What I do is I'll add a comma right here, a space, and put in quotation here, Ubuntu nerd font, then do a colon, size equals 10. Write and quit, remove config.h, run make, Alt-Shift-Q, and our icons are much better. Now, we're still missing some stuff, and I'm sorry if I'm kind of jumping around a lot. I kind of fix things as I see it. Now, the next patch I want to install is hide vacant tags, because you see I have 9 tags up through here, and I'm only using 1 tag. I don't need to see all these tags that are just empty. So I'm going to scroll down over here on my patches page to the H's, hide vacant tags. I'm going to scroll down here and you see we have a DWM hide vacant tag 6.3.diff. That's exactly what we want. I'm going to copy, paste that in, come to the front, type in wget. So if we run ls here, you see we have DWM hide vacant tag 6.3.diff. So let's patch -p1 DWM hide vacant tags. All right, that worked. rm config.h and make. Alt-Shift-Q. And you see we got rid of all those empty tags. Now the next thing I want to patch in here is called per tag. And essentially what that is, I'm going to show you. So let's say we're in tiling mode now. Let's say I hit mod and space for floating mode. So if I hold that, I can move stuff around, this, that, and the other. Hit mod and space, it goes back to tiling mode. But let's say I'm back in floating mode and I go to the second tag. See, I'm still in floating mode here. But what if I wanted that to still be tiling? That's what the per tag patch does. Let's go back to tag 1. Let's go down to per tag. Now there's several different ones up through here. Per tag with the same bar position, per tag for several different versions of DWM. I'm just going to get the newest one, which is the one from September of 2020. Let's get that one. We're going to copy, put it at the terminal, and wget. I'm going to run that. And you see we have DWM per tag listed now. So let's patch -p1 DWM per tag. Everything succeeded. rm config.h make Alt-Shift-Q. So now, if I'm in floating mode here, see, if I go to tag 2, I'm still in tiling mode. That's exactly what I wanted. Now, the next thing I want to do is if I spawn a floating window, I want it to be centered on the screen because by default, it's going to come up here. And I want it to be centered. It kind of soothes my OCD. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back and I'm going to scroll down to C's and we're going to go to center. And the newest one I see here is for 6.2. So we're going to copy that. Let's switch places with this. wget space and then hit the middle mouse button, center 6.2. All right, hit Control L, we're running ls and we make sure we got center. Okay, so let's patch -p1 DWM center. All right, we have one thing that failed, and that was in config.def.h. So let's move the Firefox window over to tag 2. And now let's nvim config.def.h. Let's see, it saved everything to config.def.h.reject. So let's just nvim config.def.h. Now let's open a split for config.def.h.reject. And see, it was right here. It wanted to add another column for is centered. Okay. Let's get back up here. So all I'm going to do here, I'm going to go is centered. All right, and while I'm here, I'm going to define a rule. So let's yank that and paste it again. And I want to do one for SXIV. And I want that to be centered and floating. :WQ to write. Now let's rm config.h and make Alt-Shift-Q. And now let's do as apt install SXIV. So let's run one of my scripts. Let's do bg cell. All right, let's do mark and quit. And you see that is my wallpaper selector. If you'd like to take a look at it, it'll be in my .files repo. Feel free. Now, the next thing I want to patch in is called attach bottom, because I don't really care for having the new window spawn as the new master window. But if I do want it to be the master, I have a key binding for that. Because if I'll keep doing this, every new window I spawn is the new master. And honestly, that's not how my brain works most of the time. So let's go back. Let's go down here to attach bottom, because I want it to show up on the bottom of my stack. The newest one is from 2020, or from December of 2020. Let's highlight that, copy, then wget and paste. I'm going to swap sides. I'm going to clear the terminal, and you see that we have attached bottom downloaded. So let's patch -p1 DWM attach bottom. That succeeded. So rem config.h and make. Alt-Shift-Q. Now if we hit that, there we go. It actually goes to the bottom of the stack. That's what we wanted. Now the next one, I like to have gaps, but I also like to get rid of my gaps. This is purely for aesthetic reasons, and I've patched in all the gaps patches in different builds of DWM, and this is the one that I kind of like the most. You can adjust the gaps on the fly, but the main reason I do it is so I can toggle the gaps. So if we go back here, and let's go down here to the Fs, and we go to full gaps. You see we have full gaps 6.2, full gaps this, that, and the other. But this is the one I want. Full gaps toggle. That's the one I want. I'm going to copy that. wget, middle mouse button. And you see we have DWM full gaps toggle. I'm going to rem config.h patch -p1 DWM full gaps. And see we have one hunk that failed in DWM.c. So 1 out of the 8 hunks failed. Okay, not a big deal. So let's send this to workspace 2. Now let's nvim DWM.c. We're going to open up a split. DWM.c.reject. And see, that's the only part that it messed up on. And I think that was because I had the per tag patches applied first. But anyway, not a big deal. So what I want to do is I want to look for this pattern right here, because that's going to be the most unique thing that I can see. All right, so let's go to arrange. Monitor. All right, so there's that. Gonna give it a space. Go down here. Let's do capital V for visual line mode. Let's highlight all of that. Hit Y to copy or yank. Come down here and hit paste. All right, so that should be all we got right there. Let's write and quit. Write and quit. Now let's rem config.h make. All right, that did just fine. Alt-Shift-Q. So now I should be able to hit Alt-Shift and plus to toggle my gaps. Alt, and now I can adjust gaps. All right, and Alt-Shift plus and Alt-Shift equal, toggle my gaps. Now the next thing I want to patch in is called fake full screen. This is really just for me, and when I make videos and I'm in DWM, I can simulate a full screen effect inside a stack window. And that's actually what you're looking at right now. I'm in another build of my build of DWM, and this entire window that you're looking at is one of my stack windows. And I've got it in quote unquote full screen mode or fake full screen. So it's taking up everything inside the allotment for that window when it thinks it's full screen. And I find that to be fairly useful, especially if I'm watching a YouTube video or something and I want to full screen it to just that part of the screen. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to come down here and go to fake full screen, and we're going to find the newest one. Fake full screen 2021. That's the newest one. We're going to copy. We're going to wget, hit the middle mouse button for fake full screen. All right, clear the screen. And we make sure we've got it. Fake full screen, that's the one we want. So let's patch -p1 DWM fake full screen. And that succeeded. So rm config.h and make Alt-Shift-Q. Now let's go to youtube.com/c/Linux Dabbler and just kind of see. Let's see my most recent video. Let's do this one. It's cool D-menu scripts. And of course it's going to play ads because, well, that's kind of what they do. All right. And if I hit full screen here, it's going to show up full screen in just that section. Now, if I spawn another window, you see it's going to be full screen in just that section. I like that, especially for recording videos, because like I said, this virtual machine that I'm in is showing up in just one window here. And I think that's pretty cool. And it makes it so much easier to record. But if you find that useful, that's great. It's pretty great. And I find it useful. If you find it useful too, more power to you. And see, that is literally all the patches that I use for DWM. It used to be way more. But the longer I use DWM, the more patches I realized that I just didn't need. So I weeded all those out and got to my core ones that I like to use the most. Now, your favorites will most definitely be different than mine, and that's fine. But what I wanted to show here is that while not everything patched super cleanly, that I was able to go in and find what the problem was and patch it in manually. It wasn't that bad, and I don't know C at all. It's more than what my little southern brain can comprehend. But anyway, that's really all the patches that I generally use. Now, the next portion of this video is going to be me customizing DWM in various ways. So if you just wanted to see the install and the patching, that part's over. Now, I'm just going to change and add some key bindings, do a little theming, kind of play around with this, and it will be largely unscripted. Kind of like the last however long I've been doing this. And I'm just going to change stuff as I see it. You can leave now if that's all you wanted to see, but if you want to see how I customize DWM, that part is starting now. So the first thing I'm going to change is I'm going to change the mod key from the Alt key to the super key. So I'm going to nvim config.def.h. We're going to come down here and you see where it says define mod key mod1 mask. I'm going to copy that actually, and I'm going to change one of them to 4. I'm going to change this one, change it from mod key to alt key, because I want to have my mod key be mod 4, but I still want to use the alt key for some stuff. Now, mod P, I'm fine with that, spawning D menu. Mod shift return, I do not want that to spawn my terminal. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch those key bindings. So let's go into visual mode. I'm going to delete that part. Come down here to where it says return, and I'm going to paste that part in. All right, so now mod shift C. Now that's a fine enough key binding, but I have been Spectre WM'd and I use mod X to close my windows. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back in visual mode and highlight this. We're going to delete that part. Come down here where it says mod F. I'm going to paste that in because I don't want it to be mod F to toggle floating. What I want, or toggle tiling, or what have you. I want that to be mod shift T, because mod T is going to set it to layout 0. Mod shift T is going to set it to layout 1. That's kind of what I want. So I'm going to change mod C to mod X now. And that's going to be about all I do as far as customizing the key bindings themselves without necessarily adding a key binding. So now what I want to do, I want to define my terminal. So I'm going to copy that line and define terminal in all caps. And I'm going to say ST because I use the ST terminal. So now I want to do, let's copy this line and paste it back. And I want to do mod F is not going to spawn my dmenu cmd command. I'm going to run a shell command. And open close parentheses or brackets, open close parentheses. We're going to run terminal outside of the quotation marks. Then we're going to go inside the quotation marks and do space -e VIFM run. We're going to write and quit that. And VIFM run is actually a wrapper script for VIFM that I want to use so I can get image previews using Uberzug. Now, Uberzug is available in the Debian testing repos, but when I tried it the last time, it did not work so well. What I want to do now is run pip 3 install Uberzug. So rmconfig.h, run make, Alt-Shift-Q, and now mod-Shift-Q should do refresh now. Okay, cool. So now if I do super F, that should show up VIFM with the wrapper script. So if I go into my local, share, backgrounds, and then turn on my previews with the W key, I have image previews. Sweet. All right. I want to have a key binding for spawning my web browser. So for my term, all I'm going to do is just copy my term CMD line and paste it back. Come over here and call it web. And then I want to change that from ST to Firefox -ESR. And let's make sure that I don't have a W key binding anywhere. So let's search for XK_W. Okay, pattern not found. That means it's free. So let's copy that and get it, change the return to W and get everything lined back up. And term CMD is going to get changed to web. Now let's do that again because I want this to be files. Highlight all that. Change it to PCManFM. Now this is I'm going to use my Alt key for this because I want that to be my alternate file manager. So what I'm going to do here, let's change my key to Alt key and then change that to F. And we're going to spawn, not my dmenu CMD, we're going to spawn files. All right, let's test that out. rmconfig.h, and we're going to run make. Let's see, super shift Q to refresh. Now let's run Alt F. Nice. But it's ugly. So let's super X to clear that. Do as apt install LX appearance. All right, now I like Groovebox a lot, so let's go back into Debian install scripts and let's install the Groovebox GTK theme. Now, LX appearance. We go to Groovebox Material Dark and then go to the icons for Groovebox and hit apply. Then if we go to PCManFM, you see it still did not apply. What we're going to have to do to get that to work, you see we have a GTK 3.0 folder in our config directory. PCManFM uses GTK 2.0. So what I want to do is it's mkdir GTK, not 3.0, 2.0. Groovebox, Groovebox, hit apply, and then Alt F. You see that our theme did apply. I struggled with that for a good little while. So hopefully if you're watching this video and you like PCman FM, hopefully that'll help you out. Now I'm just going to cd into my local bin directory, and there is a couple of things in here that I want to make a key binding. You see, I've already got VIFM run and BG cell. Actually, BG cell is not. Did I make BG cell a key binding? All right, let's make BG cell a key binding. So all I'm going to do here, let's say I want that to be Alt B for backgrounds. Let's highlight all that and let's change it. And we're going to do shcmd for shell command. And that's going to be BG cell. Now you can do the full path to it, or you can do just the name of it. As long as it's in the path, it should work. I'm going to write and quit, rmconfig.h, run make, mod shift q, and then Alt B. That worked. So mark quit, and that worked. So nvim config.def.h, cd.local bin. Okay, I want to set my key bindings for quieter, hush, and louder as key bindings in my config.def.h. So I want to set those scripts to be my volume up, volume down, and mute buttons. So what I'm going to have to do here to get that set up is I can do an include here for those keys, but to me it's just not as clean. So I'm going to quit out of this and then nvim dwm.c. I'm going to go down here, and where it says xutil.h, we're going to copy that line and then change this to xf86 keysym for x86 keysym. Right and quit that, nvim config.def.h. Then we can come down here, and since I don't want any modifier key set here, what I'm going to do is set this up as a 0 modifier. I'm going to call that xf86 xk underscore audio raise volume. I want that to spawn shcmd, and I want that to be louder. And I don't want this to be, let's see, instead of raise, let's do lower. And let's change louder to quieter. Let's do it one more time, and then we're going to change it from quieter to hush. We're going to write and quit that, rmconfig.h, and make mod shift q. And now we should be able to, all right, all that's working. All right, so now I want to be able to change my themes. Let's go back home, and I'm going to git clone https://gitlab.com/linuxdabbler/DWM. I'm only going to pull a folder out of this, so I'm not going to cheat. I'm going to cd into DWM, and you see I have a colors folder. So let's cp, tell you what, I'm going to make a directory, home/.local source DWM colors. Then we're going to cp colors everything in colors to home/.local source DWM colors. All right, so let's get out of that. Local source DWM, cd into colors. And we'll see we have capuchin.h, dracula.h, groovebox.h, nord.h, and onedark.h. Let's go back a directory and nvim config.def.h. Now let's open up a split. Let's do a vertical split this time. Home/.local source DWM colors. Let's do stock.h because it's the stock colors. Control H to go back over here. Now we're going to go hit capital V to go into visual line mode, and we're going to copy all of this. We're going to delete it. Hit Control L to go over here and paste. Right and quit. Now I have to include it now. So I'm going to hit # include colors/stock.h. So now if I rm config.h and then run make, if I hit mod shift Q to refresh everything, it should not change or it should not crash. So mod shift Q, no change, that means it worked. So nvim config.def.h, let's change stock.h to groovebox. rm config.h, make mod shift Q, and everything changed. Cool. So now if I want to set up something for, let's say if I wanted to make an Everforest or whatever kind of theme for DWM, I can just go into colors and make a everforest.h and then call it up in my config.def.h. So now I want to get rid of some of this stuff. So let's say do as rm-r Debian install scripts, and see now we have a completely empty directory. So let's run xdg-user-ders-update. Now we have all our regular directories. Let's make another key binding for Librewolf. cd.local source DWM nvim config.def.h. Let's go to, let's make one from web, make it alt web. .v space that equals space alt web, and then rm config.h, make mod shift Q and alt W, and there's Librewolf. Cool. So that's about all I've got for today. I just kind of wanted to show how to install DWM on Debian and take away some of the stigma that it's so hard to do. I'm not the smartest person ever, and I know jack about the C programming language, but as you saw, I was able to get a nice setup with minimal headache that was fast, beautiful to me, and light on resources. But anyway, thank you for watching. Like if you liked it, share with someone who might find this useful, and subscribe if you want more sporadic Linux content. We'll catch you in the next one.